Welcome back, everyone. This year's Global Indian Business Meet in the Big Apple's Times Square featured panels and discussions on the topics dealing with managing business in challenging times. Let's take a trip to the hustle and bustle area and hear from three well-versed economists.
It's very rare that we have three economists here on dais today. Today, this is his keynote address on challenges and opportunities in current economy and business of tomorrow. Over to Dr. Nirmali Kumar.
Basically, over the past 2 decades, India has emerged as a global hub for back office services and software development. And moving this work offshore to India has, of course, had some implications for the job prospects of people in the developed world. And when this is combined with the loss of manufacturing jobs to China, it has raised considerable angst amongst Western elites and Western populations. In fact, recent polls show that actually in the US today, there's a smaller number of people who support free trade than ever, because of this loss of jobs and stuff. So yet, many Western elites have argued that, this apprehension of free trade is misplaced. Because, it's like Tom Friedman in his book, The World as Flat, has said, the fear of free trade is based on the fact that people mistakenly believe that everything that can be invented has been invented. And what he's saying is that, basically, what you have to remember is that this is not a zero-sum game. And in his view, free trade will benefit everybody.
Finance trainer by hobby. It's a hobby that turned into passion and then turned into activity, and today we train over 1,000 large companies across 4 continents. And usually when I'm addressing an audience or a corporate group, the generic title of the program is Finance for Non-Finance Persons. And the first question I'd like to ask the assembled group is, how many of you are non-finance by background? Obviously, if they're attending a program on finance for non-finance, all hands go up. And what I'd like to tell them is, when I ask you how many of you are non-finance persons, not a single hand should have gone. That obviously sounds a little contradictory, because they are there to attend a program for non-finance persons, and I say you should not call yourselves as such. So that raises a little question of definition, how they are defining who a finance person is and how I seem to be defining. So what do I mean? Nobody should say he is or she is from a non-finance background. Folks, what is finance management? What I'm going to speak is a little long, so I'm going to cut it short, so I'm going to be a little fast, pardon me the speed. Folks, should we call the actions that, that involve tracking financial information, collecting financial information, collating that information, recording that information, presenting that information as finance management? Answer is no. That is accounting. So if my question was how many were non-accounting professionals, then if the hands had gone up, I would have agreed with them. But folks, if collecting, recording, presenting financial data is not finance management, then what is? Now my definition is, I think finance management is merely the ability on the part of every individual in the organization to understand the financial implication of whatever they are doing. The ability on the part of every individual to understand the impact on the organization's bottom line of every action of theirs.
I'm going to talk about first as to what we need to recognize in our country as necessary objectives or necessary conditions. And the first one that I want to show is that in India, we need to recognize the need for growth. There's constantly a discussion in India, a political dialogue, discussion, debate going on between growth and equity, between growth and poverty, between growth and distribution, etc., etc. I think that's really just very distracting. It's something which, I think takes us away from what we are supposed to be doing, because it is clear to me after 35 years of economic policy making, etc., in the government and outside, that growth is a necessary condition for everything else that you want to achieve, whether it's equity or removal of poverty or its distribution, regional equality, etc., etc. And I think we very often, our political leaders and our bureaucrats and sometimes even our academics don't get the necessity of growth. that you have to grow, you have to generate value, you have to generate profits and value addition if you want this country to. Because I'm saying this simply because if you understand this, then a lot of problems, a lot of distraction, dissonance, etc. will disappear. So the first thing is, and the need for growth, let me just put it to you, is there, the necessity for growth, because in India today, for the next 20-25 years, we need to generate 10 million new jobs every year. Because that's the number of people who are entering the workforce. So the so-called demographic dividend that we have is going to become a demographic nightmare if we don't get these 10 million jobs being created every year. And for that 10 million jobs, you need to generate growth in the economy.